In this game, it was his best game of the series. It wasn't enough, obviously, and he couldn't help hold off the Warriors after they built that big lead in the third quarter. This game went different, where the Blazers actually were the team that had control that third quarter.
Dame finding Myers Leonard, who finishes over Draymond Green.
This was one of the exciting plays early in the game. Myers Leonard, man, he was out of control last night. 25 points in the first half, hitting from three, finishes on Draymond. Nice give and go there by Dame.
All right, finally, Steph Curry showing off his touch here with a nice finger roll off the glass to get the N1.
Man, I was worried at the end of this Steph could have got hurt. He was watching the shot and he ended up tripping over a camera guy, falling into the crowd. This was, I mean, some skill, some luck, some living right. But you'll see it right there where you kind of falls backwards. Didn't see that one coming.
Sensational game by Steph last night.
Unbelievable.
He made a bunch of crazy shots.
All right, moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because it's been a minute since we highlighted any of their drama. All right, so quick backstory here. Last year, Ben Roethlisberger threw some shade at Antonio Brown after a loss to Denver, saying he ran the wrong route. Well, yesterday, about 6 months later, he decided to apologize, saying, quote, "I took some heat, deservedly so, for some of the comments on that show, and especially towards him. I genuinely feel bad about that, and I'm sorry. Did I go too far after that Denver game? Probably. That's the thing about media and social media. As soon as you say sorry, it only goes so far. You can't take it back. And I wish I could, because if that's what ruined our friendship and relationship, I'm truly, genuinely sorry about that. There were some great things, and then all of a sudden it kind of disappeared, and I'm not really sure where it went. We always worked through it. We always came out the other end smiling, hugged it out. I really am looking forward to reconnecting with him, talking. He's a good friend of mine. I still call him a good friend. I hope we can reconnect, and I hope our friendship can continue to grow." Now, Antonio Brown heard the apology, thought about it, and reacted with far less words than Big Ben used. He just tweeted, "Two-Face." All right, CC, what do you make of Big Ben's efforts to make things right with Antonio Brown?
Yeah, I mean, there is a time to apologize, and nothing like an apology in America. Like, we accept one that we think is genuine. That's what we're looking for. People are like, "Oh, man, you can apologize." Not anytime, not any kind of way. You like apologize in real time, like when it happened. You had a chance, not only because it's not the night after the game, on the plane, coming back. Typically, it's the next day. You've looked at the film, and also you've kind of seen what's out there in the media. And veterans are like typically someone from the organization to come to you and be like, "I think that you need to make a statement or say something." That was the time. He had said the same thing that he said yesterday in that time with a person that he called a friend. I think that we in the football world have been like, "Man, this is how things happen. It's a volatile office. It happens to be on the sideline. It's not your normal 9 to 5 job." But Ben has allowed all this time. Obviously, he hadn't talked to Antonio about it. And to me, I don't like the fact that if you and I are friends, you should be talking to me. You don't have to tell anyone else about how you feel about me and everything, because you have my number. You've communicated with me before, and we've had other issues that Ben admitted that they've been able to work through. So Ben knows he was wrong in doing this, but that's been part of Ben's inconsistent leadership since he's been in Pittsburgh. So Ben's not the reason Pittsburgh has all the problems, but Ben a lot of times didn't help himself or help the organization with the way he conducted himself.
And when you say there's nothing like an apology in America, listen, anyone that's in any type of relationship knows there's two types of apologies. Some people would say genuine and not genuine, but what I would say is an apology that's for me, the aggrieved party, or an apology that's for you, the party that was in the wrong, to make you feel better about you having done wrong. This, to me, very clearly falls in the latter rather than the former. This is, and people can say picking on Big Ben, it's not, what more do you want him to do? I don't know. Not give a long, heartfelt message on television in Pittsburgh when you know the damage has been done
6 months prior.
As part of your own new attempted image rehabilitation, because finally, what has been talked about within NFL circles, and certainly within that team for a long time, is coming out. And more people are noticing, well, the thing he did to Antonio Brown, he kind of did the same thing to Mike Tomlin when he threw the pick right before at the Patriots game and the Jesse James game. And he kind of did it to Todd Haley all the time before Todd Haley got fired, which was a lack of personal accountability and more, hey, look at where those guys screwed up. And so maybe this is I can't look into a man's heart, into his eye, and say I know exactly where it's coming from. But this strikes me as an apology for Ben Roethlisberger. Well, now my sins have been wiped away. I'm absolving myself of the responsibility. And if Antonio, he's still a good friend. I hope one day we can reconnect. You know damn well that the way to reconnect with Antonio Brown is not through an interview on KDKA in Pittsburgh when Antonio has moved on from there. And you know damn well, you mentioned, sometimes you apologize for things that happen within the game or within the heat of the moment right after the game.
Right.
It is noteworthy that Big Ben, what he did wrong here, that interview, happened 2 days after the game. Happened on a Tuesday morning in Pittsburgh on his radio interview. And Ben's not a dumb man. When he saw the relationship going sideways, when he and Antonio had the blow up, at the very least, when they have the blow up on the practice field, that might have been a light bulb moment. Like, oh, maybe there's some lingering resentment here. Maybe I need to go to him then. So usually you get credit for an apology. It's tough for me to look at this one other than a public relations move rather than a sincere thing between two people that once upon a time were close friends.
This image rehabilitation, this whatever you want to call it from Big Ben, does any of this affect what we're going to see on the field for the Steelers this coming season? Does any of this affect his leadership skills, what he's going to be able to do to lead this team?
Well, I know a lot of people haven't looked at it, but last year Ben Roethlisberger led the NFL in passing. And what they'll do is, Pittsburgh Steelers, they will put together a good game plan. Like, they will make the adjustments. They're not as talented, Golden State Warriors, not as talented, but they have enough functional organizational things that they're going to win at least 8 games. If Ben has a great year, they can win 11 games. They will be fighting for their division. They got good coaches. They got good players. So I believe that where Ben is right now, L-Bell's out the door, AV, he's gotten heat. He wants a contract extension. Watch Ben get real focused. Watch him probably try to come to training camp, and he's going to say, you know something? In the best shape of my life. His face is going to be a lot slimmer and everything. These are the types of things that happen. A lot of time, you need something to help jumpstart your career or jumpstart your image, which he's trying to. So for me, he's a great, great football player. I look for him to be. Look at the offseason activities. He's got a bunch of guys that he's spending time with in Georgia where they're out on his boat and spending time that he typically does not do or typically don't let people know that he was doing these type of team building activities. So I look for Ben to come out focused, and I look for his numbers to suffer because I don't believe they're a passing team, but not because he wasn't efficient with the football.
Listen, everyone knows Ben Roethlisberger's first ballot Hall of Famer, and that last year was, if the team had won more, he would have been in that second-tier MVP discussion, an award he's never won, and he's never really come that close to winning. So how can this affect positively or negatively the Steelers on the field? Here's what I think the answer to that is. When an incident like this happens next year, when they have either a rough moment or a rough stretch of games, does Big Ben learn from his own words that me taking personal accountability rather than saying Juju shouldn't have been on Instagram the night before the game or the young receiver they drafted last year, James Washington, ran the wrong route? Does he, follow his own wisdom now of, I'm not going to publicly chastise my teammates? Because while I don't think staying quiet can lead to more winning, I think creating dissension in the locker room via comments can lead to more losing. And so, yeah, here's where I think it can have an effect is Ben Roethlisberger a better teammate in the public eye next year? Are there less distractions, if you will, even though I hate that word, surrounding the Steelers? That could help them in a critical year for Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization.
Yeah, I don't think the public image matters. I just think it matters what's in that locker room. And the guys know that's our quarterback. The organization told us, the general manager told us, and they happen to be paying them the most amount of money. So a lot of guys in pro football, they're not idiots. They realize we're going to follow that guy regardless. And they're all going to say good things about Ben and about Ben's leadership. That will be a constant theme in Pittsburgh.
All right, let's take a break there. Coming up, back to basketball. Magic Johnson has a whole lot to say about the Lakers' dysfunction. That is next on First Things First.